Hey everyone, it's Cindy and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. If it's your first time here, my name's Cindy Davis. I'm the Feel Good Coach, and on my channel here I like to make videos that are all about feel good. A lot of it's related to business, so it's great for people with small businesses and other life coaches like me, but I also share lots of mindset tips too that will help you to live your best life. So today's video is a replay of Feel Good Friday, which is a live video I do on my Facebook page every single week. And the topic I covered this week, this was on the 17th of November, was the 3 mindset mistakes that you might be making. So are you making mindset mistakes? Do you know about them? Do you want to find out what they might be? If you do, then just keep watching. Hey everyone, it's Feel Good Friday, and today I'm going to be talking about the 3 common mindset mistakes that you might be making. So if you want to find out about those, then do keep watching and join in, comment, ask me questions, whatever you need to do. But before we get into it, in case I haven't met you yet, my name is Cindy Davis. I'm the Feel Good Coach, and I work with business owners to help them to be more successful through looking at their mindset and finding out ways that they might be holding themselves back and some of the things they might be doing that are sabotaging themselves. But I also work with other life coaches like me to help them with their marketing, to be doing sales and marketing techniques that are non-slimy and icky and horrible, because a lot of people who go into coaching and therapy kind of jobs and businesses don't like sales and marketing because it just doesn't feel very nice. So I teach my clients how to do all of that stuff, but it feels good and it feels right, and it's a win-win situation for everyone. So and I'll be talking more about that in the next video, so stay tuned to find out the topic for next week. So let's get into it. My aim today is to highlight for you these 3 mistakes and give you some practical tips that you can put straight into practice so that you can combat them and you won't have to make them anymore. And you will notice a difference in your day-to-day life, in your business, in your job, whatever it is you're doing, because of these mindset changes. So that's it for the intro. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video. So let's go to point number 1. I'm going to be covering it in 3 ways. So point number 1 is going to be about sometimes we ignore mindset. So I'm going to be looking into that a bit more. Ignoring our mindset is one of the biggest mistakes that we make, and thinking that we don't need to do anything about it, that it'll just take care of itself. So I'll be talking more about that. In the second part, I'm going to be talking about focusing on the problem. We do that a lot. It's kind of our way of being. We tend to, as humans, be problem solvers, and that's great. But there's problems with focusing on the problem, and I'll be looking at that in part 2. And in part 3, I'll be talking about how we sometimes, nearly always think that our thoughts are true. And I'm going to be explaining why that isn't the case and what you can do about it. So those are the 3 parts we're going to cover. And so let's get on to part 1, ignoring mindset. So we go through life, we're very busy, we've got all our things that we need to be doing, and picking kids up from school and emailing clients and doing some marketing and all that kind of stuff, going to work, getting dinner, doing the hoovering, getting the car service. There's just so much going on in our lives, and mindset kind of falls off the end of the list. We might be vaguely aware that there's stuff we could be doing to improve our mindset, but we just don't find the time. We don't prioritize it in our lives. And the problem with that is, as human beings, we haven't really evolved that much since we lived in caves, and even before that, our brains and our physiology haven't really evolved since then. And we have a default setting from those days to be looking out for problems and danger, and focusing on the negative side of things. And so that's just normal. So if you feel like sometimes you get to be a bit of a negative Nancy, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. That's just normal. And the reason we were like that back then was because we needed to be on the lookout for danger all the time, because we might get eaten by something, or we might fall off a cliff or break a leg or something, or get separated from our group. And all of those things are life-threatening for us in those days. And so it was absolutely imperative that we were looking for danger at all times, which was great. But now we don't need to be doing that. We're not about to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, at least I'm not, or hopefully you're not either. And so that means that we're on this sort of constant alert for negative things and for danger, but we don't need to be. And that causes a lot of stress for us. It causes stress in our bodies and it causes stress in our mind. And when we're stressed out, we can't focus properly. We can't be as creative as we want to be. And we're not living our best lives, and it doesn't feel good. So it's kind of, because as I've said, it's our default setting, and it's just the way that we're made. But that doesn't mean that it's set like that. We can do something about it. But the thing is, we have to be doing these things every day. So the sorts of things we can do are, some people like to do affirmations, but if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I prefer Afformations. And if I remember, I will add a link below to that video. It's just a different way of doing them to improve your mindset. You might do meditation, which again is another technique that I've done a video on. So I'll try and link all the videos down below. So meditation is a great way of resetting our mindset and focusing on the positive. We can do things like, gratitude journals that help us focus on the positive. We can just simply look out of the window and list all of the things that are making us happy that day, or the things that we can see that are beautiful, and the abundance around us. There's so much we can do. Oh, just a quick break to say good morning to Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining me. So there's a lot we can do to improve our mindset and switch away from that default of focusing on the negative. And the beauty of it is it feels really good. And that's the title of my business and my role, the Feel Good Coach. And so that's very, very important to me. And in life, when we're trying to achieve stuff, the reason we're trying to achieve it is because we want to feel good. That's the main reason why we do anything, is because we feel like we're going to feel better, feel happier when we have that thing or we do that thing. And so if you can just feel good anyway, regardless of whether you've got that thing or achieved that thing, if you can raise your level of feel good every day, then why wouldn't you? It's a no-brainer. But the thing is, like I said, you have to do this stuff every day because we have this negative default setting. So how do we do that? Well, it's a bit like, every day you have a shower, or every day you eat food. You don't just eat all of the food on the first of the month and then that's it for the month. That's not how it works. You have to eat food every day to have that maintaining your health stuff going on. You have a shower every day. Well, most people have a shower every day. You wouldn't have one shower on the first of the month and then think that's it for the month. Well, most of us wouldn't. You know that we have to have a shower every day. And it's like the gym. If you go to the gym to work out, you can't just go once and think, okay, now I'm fit. I wish it was that way. I really do. But it's not. You have to go regularly. You have to go consistently. And then over time, you will feel the benefits. And it's exactly the same with this mindset stuff. So whatever you choose to do, if it's doing affirmations, or if it's doing meditation, or doing some tapping, some EFT, which is something else that I use, or gratitude journal, or all of those things, whatever you choose to do, you need to do it every day. And you need to fit it into your routine. So it's always a good idea to have a morning routine or an evening routine that works for you, and then fitting in these little mindset things that you want to do, that and try them and see which ones you like. So like I said, I'll link videos to these other topics below. So if you want to kind of find out more about affirmations and all that stuff, yes, exactly, Sarah, exercising that muscle. Because if we're not regularly doing it, we're just going to go back to that default setting. And when and I always get confused. I don't know if you get this with words, Sarah, and anyone else watching. I say default or default, and I can't decide which one it is. So I alternate for some reason. I don't know. So when you've got a default, that just means that's just your standard. That's what you're going to always refer back to. You're always going to fall back on that old way of doing it. It's our default setting. That's why we have to do things regularly every single day and keep on top of it. And it has a cumulative effect as well. So the longer you do it for, the more benefit you get. So that's mistake number one, ignoring mindset altogether and thinking that it'll just take care of itself, because it won't. So let's move on to point number two, which is focusing on the problem. So like I said in the introduction, we do have a tendency to focus on the problem, and it comes back to that default setting I was just saying. And we are brilliant problem solvers. We really are, and most of us, give us a problem and we're immediately looking at it and thinking about what we can do about it. But sometimes we can get really stuck on just looking and focusing on the problem, whatever the problem is. And when we're doing that, it's really hard to see the solution. And also, because of the way our brains work and because of the way the universe works, you get more of what you focus on. So if you're focusing on a problem, what's going to happen is you're going to likely get more problem and not solution, which is the thing you really want. And it's a bit like if you pick up a stick, you're holding a stick, you've got two ends to the stick. So you hold the stick in front of you, you can look at one end, or you can turn the stick around and look at the other end. But it's not very easy to focus on both ends of the stick at once. Just can't do it. So if you're focused on the problem end of the stick, you just can't see the solution. It's just not available to you. It's not available to your brain. You can't access it. You have to open up the solution finding side of your brain. The best way to do that is with questions. And as a coach, questions are my best tool, and I use them a lot. And we can get stuck into, when we're looking at the problem, of just kind of repeating what the problem is in our heads, or just saying things like, I can't do this, or this is too hard, or it's not easy, or all these things that we say to ourselves that are making it harder for us to solve the problem. So the key is to notice if you're doing that, firstly, and that's the key with all of this stuff really, is noticing, because until you notice, you can't do anything about it. So you've got a problem. Maybe you've got a spreadsheet that you're trying to make work and something's gone wrong with it and you can't work out what it is. So focusing on the problem and keep looking at it and fiddling with it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. But as soon as you start thinking about, how can I solve this problem? How can I make this spreadsheet work? I wonder what I'm doing wrong. I wonder what I can do differently. And that starts to open up your mind and allows solutions and answers to come up. When we ask our brains a question, they just love to answer them, because questions are one of those things that our brains love. And do you ever find, when someone's asking a question, even a rhetorical one, that you just have to answer it? Because I do. I find that all the time. And it's just simply because our brains love questions. And that's why Afformations work so well. So that's the key really to problem solving, is actually taking your focus off the problem and asking yourself some questions. Any questions will do, but questions that are kind of opening up, and so not questions about, why is this so hard? That's not going to help, is it? That's just going to make it more difficult. But questions that are opening up your mind will really start to get that solution flowing. And quite often, I wonder is a really good way to start if you're not sure how to phrase a question. I wonder how I could solve this problem. I wonder how easily this is all going to get worked out. I wonder if this is just something really simple I haven't noticed yet. I wonder if someone I know can solve this problem. I wonder if Google has the answer. And so all of that is then taking your focus away from the problem and onto the solution end of the stick. When you're focused on the solution end of the stick, you're going to get solutions. It's just the way things work. And when you're asking your brain those questions, you're going to notice answers coming up. And it won't necessarily be a voice giving you an answer, but you'll suddenly be inspired to go and look in a different place. I had this once with, what was I doing? Oh, because I have two screens here. And when I'd first got them, I wasn't quite sure how to switch between them and stuff. I wasn't really sure. And I mainly use the other screen for when I'm doing PowerPoint and stuff and referring to something on this screen, so I can kind of move between them. And it makes my job a bit easier. So one day I'd opened up Chrome on my browser on my screen here, but it didn't appear. So it showed on the little taskbar at the bottom, the little coloured circle thing, but it didn't appear on my screen. And I thought, that's really weird. Why is it not working? So I was, restarting my computer and trying again, really focused on the fact that this thing just wasn't working, and I was getting so frustrated with it. And then I sort of started Googling it and couldn't find any reference to this problem, and I was absolutely doing my nut, to be honest. And I thought, oh, stuff that. Just turned it off and went downstairs and made a cup of tea. And when I was doing that, what that allowed me to do was to start thinking, well, I wonder what else could be doing that. If it's not like a software thing, I can't find the answer on Google. Turning it off and on again hasn't worked, which is obviously the classic one that we all try. And I wonder what that is. What could be causing that problem? And I started asking myself some questions. Didn't think anything more of it. Brought my cup of tea back upstairs, turned on my computer and thought, oh, I wonder if it's on the other screen. So I just switched it on, and there it was on the other screen. Somehow it had gone over there. Now normally you have to drag things over there, so maybe I'd accidentally dragged it. I have no idea. So I dragged it back, and there it was. So I thought, I fixed it. So I closed it down, opened it back up, there it was on my screen. And if I hadn't have sort of taken that step back and taken my focus off the problem onto the solution, I might still be sitting here wondering what the hell has happened to my Chrome. So that's an example of how shifting your focus from the problem onto the solution can really, really make life a lot easier. So that was number 2, focusing on the problem, the second common mistake that a lot of us make and don't even realise we're doing it. So I hope you're enjoying this. Do let me know if this is resonating with you. And we're going to move on to point number 3 now, which is thinking that thoughts are true. So we all have thoughts. They're running all the time. We have 70, 80, 90 to 100,000 thoughts every day. That's a lot of thoughts. And about 10,000 of those every day are conscious thoughts, ones that we're aware of, which is still a lot. It's a lot of thoughts. And when we hear those thoughts, we have a tendency to think that they're the truth. We have a tendency to think that that's actual truth and that's who we are. But the real truth is that those thoughts, they're just dialogue. It's just dialogue, and it's just most of the thoughts that we have every day are the same thoughts we had yesterday, because they're habits. And we form those habits over a long, long time. And, they'll be based on all sorts of things that have happened to us, and our beliefs and our values and the way we've been brought up and all that kind of stuff. And so we'll be having those habitual thoughts. And we hear those thoughts and we think they're the truth. So even things like, when we're berating ourselves for being clumsy or for not good enough, or we're thinking that something's going to be hard, or we're thinking that we're not able to do something, all of those thoughts are not true. Now, of course, the positive ones, they're not the truth either in that sort of sense. They're not a set truth, but they serve us. And so we keep those ones. We keep the positive ones, the ones that build us up, the ones that make us feel good, because we want that to be our truth. But those other thoughts, they're not the truth. And the problem with having all these thoughts and thinking they're true is they lead us to feel differently, to feel a feeling that's related to those thoughts. So if we have a habit of thinking, I'm not good enough, if that's a thought that we're playing a lot and we believe it to be true, then that's going to make us feel pretty crap, to be honest. And who wants to feel like that? I don't think any of us would put our hands up and go, yes, please, I would like to feel crap today. None of us are going to do that. So if we want to feel good and we want to be the most effective we can be and live our best life, we need to recognize that those thoughts are not true. They're just not. And look at them objectively. So if you notice yourself having some thoughts and they're not serving you, and you recognize that, again, coming back to noticing being the first step. If you notice that, it's worth taking a step back and going, okay, that's not my truth. That's not my truth. I can choose different thoughts. And when you choose different thoughts, then you're going to feel better. The easiest way to challenge those thoughts is to just ask the question, is that true? And I believe I've done a video all about this technique as well, which I will link below. But it really is that simple. You notice the thought, I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to have to do this, or I'm going to be late. Because that's a thought that can really stress us out. Or this just isn't working, or whatever. If those thoughts are making you feel bad, just notice them and then look at them and go, objectively, that is not my truth. And you can just ask that question. Is that true? Is that absolutely true? Do I know for a fact that that's true? Because 9 times out of 10, you can easily say that actually that's not the truth. It's just not. And so challenging those thoughts will change the way you feel. But again, it's one of those things you have to keep doing. And the more you do it, the more you exercise that muscle, Sarah, it will become easier and it becomes a habit. Just the same as having those habitual thoughts, the habit of questioning them gets embedded. And when you do that, you get fewer and fewer of those negative thoughts because you're actually changing your mindset. You're actually rewiring your brain and getting different thinking habits going, more positive ones. So all of the little techniques I've touched on through each part of this video are all ways of rewiring your brain and changing those thinking habits, because that is the key to being more successful, to feeling happier, and to living your best life in whatever you're doing. If you're a life coach, if you've got a small business, if you've got a job, if you're a mum, if you're not a mum, whatever you're doing in life, if you want to feel better, if you want to be more successful, and if you want to be living your best life, getting on top of these 3 mindset mistakes and using these little easy techniques is the key. So that's it. We've covered the 3 points. We're out of time. It flies by so quickly. It's unbelievable. So let's look at what we've covered today. I have told you the 3 mistakes that people make. I see it a lot to do with mindset. And the first one in part 1 was about ignoring mindset altogether and thinking it just takes care of itself. I mean, people bimble along through life quite happily, ignoring their mindset, and they might not be living their best life, their full potential. And if that's something that's important to you, which it is important to a lot of my clients when I speak to them, then ignoring mindset is absolutely a killer mistake. And then in the second part, we talked about focusing on the problem being a mistake and how we can change that. And it's really, really simple. It's just remember the stick. If I'm looking at the problem end of the stick, I can't be looking at the solution, and then start asking yourself questions to open all of that up. Really, really simple. And then in the third part, thinking thoughts are true. And there's a guy on Facebook called Richard Wilkins, and you can follow him on Facebook. I don't think you can add him as a friend anymore, but you can follow him, and he talks about the script. And so if that's something you're interested in finding out about more, I quite like the stuff that he talks about, although I haven't studied it. But he talks about this script, which is the thoughts that are running, and that the script is not you. And that's very similar to what I've said. So, it might be worth looking him up. So those are the 3 points I wanted to cover for you this morning. I hope you found it really valuable. My aim today was to highlight these 3 mistakes that a lot of people do make, and you might have been making some of them. If you have, do let me know in the comments, even if you're watching on the replay, because I will of course come back and read all of the comments here. And I wanted to give you some practical tips to combat those mistakes as well, which I've done, and I will link all the related videos down below. So if you like this video, do please give it a thumbs up, or hit the heart button or the wow button, or whatever you want to do. Share it with anyone you think it will be useful for, or tag them in the comments so that they can find the video easily. If you want to join me next week for Feel Good Friday, it will be at 9:30 as always, and I'll be talking about sales and what it really means, because I've been focusing a lot on that with with my channel and my page lately on things like sales and marketing, because it's something I want to be able to share more about. I have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. And the thing with sales, it's just got that kind of icky connotation to it for a lot of people. And so I'm going to be exploring that more next week. So if you want to be there, make sure you've liked my page so that you get the notifications. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Have a fabulous Feel Good Friday, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Bye. Bye, Sarah. Thanks for joining me. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so that I know, and so that YouTube will share the video around for other people a little bit more. And it really, really does help me out, so please do that. And comment below if you can relate to anything here, if you've made any of these common mistakes, and if you've tried any of the techniques that I was sharing, any of the little tips. I'll make sure I put all the links below that I talked about, and so that you can access all the other videos. And it just remains for me to say thank you so much for watching. Do please subscribe if you want to catch all my future videos, or head over to my Facebook page. I'll put the thing up here, and give it a like so that you'll get all the notifications if you want to join me live. So next week, as I said, I'll be talking about selling and sales and what that really means, and hopefully that will make it feel a bit less icky for those of you who do find it to be that way, a bit slimy and a bit kind of, you know, there's a lot in our culture in the UK of finding sales a bit kind of distasteful. So if that's you and that's affecting your business, then do please tune in, and have a fabulous day, and I'll speak to you in the next video.